This month I was supposed to focus on doing my talk, but I ended up buying a house, so let's talk about that instead. Last month I mentioned that I was doing a talk about time management, and this month it happened. It was last weekend, so if my voice seems a little bit off during the recording, that will be why. It went surprisingly well. It was the second talk of the day, and it was my first time doing a talk, and also, no one knew who I was. So I had pretty low expectations, but I got close to about 60 people there by the end of my talk, and it could only hold 80, so I feel like I did pretty well. It went a little bit wrong at first when I accidentally punched my laptop, but after that it went pretty smooth, though I did forget to show my final slide, which had all of my social media links and stuff on it, so no one knows who I was. There's my name on the thing, but it just would have been nice I had a big QR code that you could have just scanned and it would have taken you to a post on my Patreon with links to all my stuff, and I just forgot to show it. I had a few people come up after the talk and tell me I did well, which was nice, and then I got one person who asked me to do a talk for their organisation in the future, and I had another guy come up and he said he'd been interested in my talk, but he'd missed it. I was kind of surprised he even knew who I was. He must have just asked someone. But he spoke to me about it, and I just gave him a quick rundown of the talk afterwards, and he seemed pretty interested. It went pretty well overall. If I need to do it again, I will. It was good practice for if I want to do it again, I suppose, but I don't know where else I'd do it. The rest of the weekend was spent managing my wife's stand, and that went even better, honestly, though it was also a lot more stressful in some ways. We took 50 books with us, and after the 2 days we left with 5, so that went pretty well. We've got 5 different books, so we took 10 copies of each, and like I say, we sold all but 5 books in total, so we did pretty well. A lot of the time was just spent talking to everyone who came to the stall. I'd had a little bit of practice because I've done this for an afternoon at a different show once before, but this was basically full time for 2 days, so that was a lot more work. I had help from one of my wife's friends, and that was good, but you might be wondering why my wife wasn't there, and that's just because she had her own talk to do, and then she was on a panel, and then she had interviews and stuff, so she was just constantly busy doing stuff, so I was just manning the table and selling stuff to people. We sold, a lot, and we made a decent amount, but basically all of that money is gone already, because for one thing we had to replenish the stock that we'd sold, and the next was we have to pay for travel and accommodation, because we've got another talk coming up in London, and then another one after that in Birmingham, although we're not actually staying for the one in Birmingham. For London we'd have to get there. It would be too much to get there early in the morning and leave late at night on the day, so we're actually staying over a day either side, whereas Birmingham we can actually get there and back in the same day, so we're going to do that for that one. But we've replenished stock, and we've paid for the hotel for London, and we're going to go buy the train tickets probably tomorrow. And then we'll hopefully sell. We're just going to have to see how much we sell, to be honest, because to recoup costs from going to London, we're going to have to sell basically the same amount as we did at this show over 2 days, but in 1 day, which I don't honestly think we'll be able to do, but we're just going to have to do as well as we can. And then whatever stock we've got left over from this, we'll take to Birmingham, because for one thing, before the Birmingham show, there's only 6 days in between them, so we've not got time to get a new delivery of stock. So we're just going to take whatever's left over and try and sell that there. So I'm hoping we do well, but again, because we're only there for both of those for 1 day, and actually in Birmingham we're not even there for the full day. We're only going to be there for about 4 hours, 5 hours maybe, whereas at London at least we'll be there for the full 8 that it's open. So I'm just hoping everything goes okay. I'm sure it will, but it's more about how much we manage to sell. And then for the other, arguably bigger thing that I mentioned in the intro, I got a phone call early on in the month asking if I wanted to buy my old house, and clearly I said yes. It all happened pretty fast. So if you remember back in January, I said that I might have something sorted out about us getting a house, but it fell through at first. I've got family living at that house. It's not like I'm buying it from someone random. But they were looking to move out anyway, but they couldn't find a new place at the time, so that didn't go ahead. But then my uncle called me a few weeks ago and said he was looking at a caravan, and less than a week after ringing me, he'd already bought it and we'd bought a house. Because he's already bought the caravan, and because we already have somewhere to stay, we're not going to rush moving. He's going to slowly move his stuff out, and we're going to use the time to decorate the house and everything. There's bits of the house that are just decorating, so one room needs painting and a new floor fitting, but honestly most of the house is pretty much how we'd like it anyway. There's one other room that I want to paint. So yeah, there's 2 rooms that need painting completely, 1 room needs a new floor, and then 1 other room needs a wall painting. But outside of that, the room decorating wise is basically as we'd want it. Then for the bathroom, we want to take out the bath and put a shower in, although I'm going to have to see if I can even do that, because it's quite a thin bathroom, so I need to find out if we can even get a shower tray that fits in the base of that. Even then, though, that actually isn't a huge amount. We're not like super worried about that. The main thing we're worried about is that the basement itself needs fixing. There's like a bit of a water leak in the basement, which is like a big deal. I know how to fix it myself. Technically, I could, but I'd probably rather get someone in to do it because it's a big job. So I've got some money that I can use to pay for that. So I'm going to get someone to come around and have a look. And then if it costs more than I can afford, I'm just going to have to try and do it myself. And if it costs less than I can afford, then I'll get them to do it. Is basically how it works. In terms of importance, it's the basement. And then there's a little bit of work that needs doing on the back garden because the floor's a bit sloped. It's not a huge deal, but it's probably important to get that fixed as well. So in terms of importance, it's the basement and that needs fixing. And then the next thing we'd really want to do is the bathroom. But in terms of ease and cost, it's easier to do all the decorating first, so we're probably going to start doing that. I mean, we're actually going to try and run as much of it simultaneously as possible, but I can start decorating tomorrow if I felt like it, versus basement needs workers to come around and no one's even looked at that yet. And the bathroom, no one's looked at it, but I already know the guy who's going to do it, and he already knows what the work is. So that is basically arranged already. It's just waiting for him to do it. So we're looking to start moving properly out about the first week of July. And partially that's just because I didn't want to move out until after I'd finished Dawn Trail. Hopefully by that point, at least the work would be started. I'd hope it would be done, but with the basement, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how long that'll take. The bathroom itself should actually only be a couple of days, but the basement might take a while. Hopefully not, but it might be. It might be quite a big job. And then again, if it's that big of a job, not even going to be able to afford it, so I'll have to just do it myself. I've got money to pay for a lot of this stuff already, so more worrying is the cost of everything after we move in, like all the bills and stuff. We should have enough income to cover it already, but it's more just because it's not something we've done before, so I'm worried about it. We should be fine, but depending, I might have to do something else. Might have to look at getting like a different sort of job that pays more, which depending might affect doing my stuff. Hopefully not though, but we'll see. But if everything works out, we'll be living in our own house come August. As for the channel, Yakuza 4 started this month. I've just finished recording the episodes up until July today. I'm about halfway through. I've just started part 3. I can't remember if there's 4 parts or 5 parts. I know there's 4 characters and each one of those gets a part, and I don't remember if the last bit is part of part 4 or if it's its own part altogether. This is actually one of the few Yakuza games that I was familiar with before I started playing it. This one and 0. I think I watched a playthrough of 4 at some point, and I definitely watched a playthrough of 0. And I have also played a little bit of 4 myself once before. It was the first Yakuza game I ever played. I just didn't get very far into it at the time. But now I'm doing it properly, and I like it. So far, Akiyama's my favourite to play as. I'm not a fan of how slow Saejima is, even if he is strong. And I've not spent very long with Tanemori yet, but he seems like a middle ground between the two. I'm not sure how much I'm going to like his parrying, but hopefully it's not the worst. Endwalker is obviously coming to a close after 2 years next month. It's kind of weird to think about. So much recently has just been events. I'm honestly getting really tired of doing all the trials for the Yokai Watch stuff, but I've only got 3 more weapons to grab. Well, 3.5, I'm partway through one. Hopefully that won't take me much longer, but it just feels weird that they've thrown so many events at us all at the same time. We had this, and then Fall Guys is back at the moment, isn't it? Or it's coming back soon, I can't remember. The Make It Rain event finished today, didn't it? The Moogle Tombstone event is on at the moment, which I'm actually not as big of a fan of this time. Last time, I liked it. This time, it's not that it's bad, it's just feels a lot harder this time than it did last time. Last time, the ultimate challenge was do well at fishing, and this time the ultimate challenge is clearing floor 100 of Palace of the Dead, which maybe it's just because I've not done much of Palace of the Dead on my own, but seems like a big jump. And especially because the weekly stuff last time was like maybe do Shadowbringers stuff, and the weekly stuff this time is doing like actual endgame content now. Not necessarily endgame, but you know what I mean, like post-patch Endwalker stuff. It seems like a big jump. I've also should have just finished with my island, which is a bit sad, because I'm probably never going to go back, but I am going to miss all of my animals. Today was the last of my sentence compilations for the time being. I've done the first 5 seasons now, and seeing as we're currently in the 6th season, I can't really do a compilation of that one next month, can I? And next month I'm going to start doing a compilation of my impressions videos. I'm going to start with 2018, and then 2019, and then I'll do 2023's then. The reason I'm not doing 2023's is because I started partway through the year. That was my first year of doing them properly, but that was also when I started partway through the year. So 2019's impressions finish on Sunday. I'll have 2018 and 2019 finished, and then what I'm going to go back and do, instead of going to 2020, is I'm going to go back and do the first couple of games I played from 2023, so that then that entire year is done. And then once those are finished, I'll move on to 2020s. 2020s will actually take us all the way up till next year, so that's going to be a while away, but that's the plan for now anyway. And then other than that, I think everything else is staying the same. Special thanks to all of my patrons. You can join them over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early and get exclusive roles on my Discord, along with other rewards I might think of. You can also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon, along with my Discord, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode. Finally, don't forget you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood, Hobbs, and Koopy Vegeta. You can join my patrons at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, check out my TikTok and Twitter @Holden Gatsby, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Holden Gatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to all of my channels. If you want more, you can watch my last video now, but if not, then thanks for sticking around. Bye.